My name is Megan, aka Simply Simmer, and welcome back to my channel where I recreate houses from different TV shows and movies in The Sims 4. Today's Sims 4 speed build is inspired by Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is one of the best shows I've watched in a long time. If you're also a fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and you're excited to see the entire precinct rebuilt in The Sims 4, make sure to drop a like, and if you want to see more videos just like this one, make sure to smash that subscribe button as well. It really just kind of depends on what I'm building, but on average, I would say it usually takes anywhere between 8 and 12 hours to put together a build. This one was a freaking beast. I seriously had about 18 hours worth of footage as I was putting this one together, so it's gonna be a big one today.
Title of your sex tape.
And yes, that line was planned, and we're gonna see how many more I can fit in.
Also the title of your sex tape.
The first room that I'm working on is the holding cell, which is pretty much right whenever you walk into the precinct. I used a lot of these splat rugs that came from Strangerville, and it gave it this really like dirty, grungy feel. And then the benches that I used here came from Get to Work. I do come back later in the video to kind of resize this room because it is a little bit too skinny to start with. But since it was the first room that I was doing, I didn't really have a total feel for how the entire build was gonna look once it was all together. Over to the elevator / waiting room area, and this is shown a lot in the background, but there really weren't a whole lot of scenes where they were actually in this space. So I had to use a little bit of creativity here, but for the most part, everything was shown in the background of pretty much every episode. Moving to the kitchen, which is separate from the break room, and this is actually in the bullpen. So normally what I would do with this refrigerator is add a whole bunch of things to it, like magnets and notes and pieces of paper, but for whatever reason, when I was doing this build, every time I would place something there, it would delete another item on a counter. And I got super frustrated with it, so I actually just cut that whole part out. But I do have a pretty good explanation of how to add those things to refrigerators on my Bob's Burgers video, because I really love making it look used and dirty.
Title of your sex tape.
Oh my god, that one was not planned. But anyway, I cluttered up the rest of the kitchen using some different items like condiment packages, some paper towels, and the party packs that came from Toddler Stuff. There are no water coolers in the game, and I've actually run into this problem a few different times, like when I did The Office and Space Force. So I'm put in this situation where I have to create a water cooler out of other items in the game, and I haven't found a solution that I actually love yet. I didn't really like this choice. I feel like there's a way that it can be done better, but I sized up a water bottle and just put it on a white table. I'm sure that there is a much better way to make it look like a water cooler than what I did, so if you have any suggestions, make sure to leave them in the comments, because there are a lot of TV shows and movies that I do that have water coolers in them, and I run into this dilemma every single time. Two desks that I'm going to be working on are Scully and Hitchcock's desks, and the chairs that are on the sides of each desk, I actually go back later on in the video and I change these for different chairs, but they kind of looked yellow in some episodes and then they turned to gray later on, and I liked the appearance of the gray chairs better. Plus these yellow chairs are debug items, and you can't use the eyedropper tool on some debug items, and these were one of them. So having to put so many in here made it really hard.
Title of your sex tape.
Scully and Hitchcock are older detectives, and they used to be amazing detectives. But with age, they don't really seem to care too much anymore about anything other than naps and food, and that's what I wanted to represent on their desks. So I have lots of food like hot dogs and hamburgers and a pizza box, and then just general clutter and trash all around the floor around them.
We're the ones who eat up all the crumbs. Yeah, we're the solution.
Then as I was about to start working on Terry's desk, I realized that there was not enough space on this lot for me to fit everything in.
Title of your sex tape.
If I ever run into this issue, I always end up saving the lot to my library, and then I move to another lot and I place it there. I originally started building this on the preeminent domain lot in the Magnolia Promenade? I'm not sure which one that is.
Promenade.
But anyway, I ended up moving it over to the roadstead in that same neighborhood. And then I was able to resize these rooms and give some more space. That we have a little more space, we're able to start working on Terry Jeffords' desk. Terry is the sergeant of the 99th Precinct, but the building that they use in the show is actually the real 78th Precinct in New York City. So I thought that was a pretty cool fun fact. So something about Terry is he loves yogurt. And I mean, he loves yogurt so much that it is a personality trait.
Living that hashtag yogurt life.
And I really wish that the new likes and dislikes system in The Sims 4 could allow you to choose favorite foods and dislike certain types of foods, but maybe that'll be an update down the road. Because if I created Terry Jeffords in The Sims 4, he would definitely love yogurt. Now there weren't any pre-made bowls of yogurt in the game, so I just had to use an empty bowl with a spoon to represent that, but you can make your Sims eat yogurt in the game. So if you choose to download this lot and make all the characters, definitely make sure that Terry gets his yogurt. He also loves his daughters, so I put some little cards that look like they were drawn by kids on his desk, and then just cluttered up the space around it with some file cabinets, since he is the sergeant and probably has a lot more paperwork to deal with than everybody else. Next, we are moving into the break room. There is a point where they remodel the break room, but I actually based this one on a behind-the-scenes clip with Melissa Fumero, who plays Amy, Stephanie Beatrice, who plays Rosa, and Terry Crews, who plays Terry. So there's this really cool clip where the three of them are going through the set and just kind of talking about different things in the set. And if you know anything about Rosa, you know that she's this like super hard ass, but Stephanie, who plays her, is like this humongous sweetheart. And literally like every single comment on that video was, oh my god, I didn't even recognize that was Rosa. So she really does such a good job with her character, just playing this super hard ass, even though in real life she's like this super sweet girly person. So I was really mind blown when I saw that clip. And then I couldn't stop watching videos of Stephanie Beatrice, so it was just this really deep hole that I got sucked into.
That's not how holes work. Title your sex tape.
But anyway, The Sims 4 still does not have any pool tables, so I actually placed a foosball table here instead. And then in the corner of the break room, they have the mannequin that Terry shot multiple times. So I used the robotic punching bag that I believe came from Strangerville. And then I'm not sure where that mystery door in the corner is supposed to lead, but I do come back later on in the video because that leads to a secret room that nobody's supposed to know about. So make sure to keep watching to see where that leads. And the next set of desks that we're going to are Amy and Jake's desks. Jake is played by Andy Samberg, so of course he's got this over-the-top, childish goofball attitude, but he is a really, really great detective. And then Amy is kind of this uptight, OCD, everything has to be perfect by the book, so their personalities completely contradict each other, and it really makes for some really funny moments. I used the episode called The Slump, which I believe is season 1, episode 3. In that episode, Jake is kind of having this meltdown because he feels like he's in a slump from trying to solve cases. So because of that, his desk is out of control cluttered. He's trying to find as much paperwork as possible, and I put paperwork all over the place, which also helped add to the fact that Amy's desk is so perfect and precise, so you can really easily see that contrast between these two here. I also snuck some toys on Jake's desk, like a little rubber ducky and a video game controller, and then there is a basketball that ends up under his desk. The two packs that I used the most throughout this build are Get to Work and Strangerville. So obviously Get to Work was going to be very helpful because there is the detective career track, and then Strangerville has all of these mysterious secrets about the town. So there are tons of different stacks of papers and secret dossiers, and those came in handy a lot as well. In the show, they have this giant map on the wall that is supposed to be of the 99th Precinct. So to recreate that, I used this tactical map, which comes from the base game, but it is a career reward object. Next, I'm putting together Rosa's desk. Rosa and Charles actually don't have a main character that shares a desk with them. So one of them shares a desk with someone named Sydney Brown, and the other one shares a desk with someone named Casey Cook. We never see either of those characters in the show, so I actually just went through and just placed some generic desk things down on those two desks. So I missed a golden opportunity with Rosa's desk to place a bunch of swords underneath it, and I didn't even realize that I didn't do that until I was editing the video. but that would have absolutely been perfect for this. But I did place a cooking mallet just because she is so much of a badass, and it would not surprise me if she had something like that just ready to go. And then I just go through and I add a little bit more clutter before I move over to Charles Boyle's desk. So here we go with Charles Boyle's desk. So as I mentioned before, he does share a desk with a character that we never see. And in the later seasons, his desk is just completely covered with photos of Nicolaj. But in that video tour that I watched, his desk was completely covered in restaurant menus. So I kind of used both of those to recreate his desk. I really wish we had more options for tabletop photo frames, because pretty much any time that I'm putting pictures on a table or a desk, all of my Sims just really love apples and pears. Now I know that there are some debug options that you can place like a photo frame, and then you can go into the gallery and add photos, or you can have your Sims add photos, but that just takes so long. So I really like having these pictures that are pre-made, but that's just a personal preference. So if you do download this from the gallery, which by the way, I don't think I mentioned earlier, all of my gallery information is listed in the description below the video. You can definitely feel free to delete the pictures of the apples and pears and replace them with family photos of Nicolaj. Up next is Gina Linetti's desk, and Gina is not a detective, but she is the precinct administrator. So her desk is right outside of Captain Holt's office. So Gina is played by Chelsea Peretti, and in real life, her and Andy Samberg were childhood best friends. So I think that that is so neat that they got to be on such a long-running show together. Gina is just so out there, but I love her in every single episode. She's just got this amazing, I don't really give a crap attitude, and she just does whatever she feels like. But anyway, back to Gina's desk. On the end of her desk, I placed the unassuming candy jar, and that is supposed to represent the sourdough that she destroyed from the Boyle family. That was an episode that just like really stuck with me, because Boyle almost reminds me of Dwight Schrute from The Office. And that was just one of those super weird things that seems like something a Schrute would do. And if you know me, The Office is my all-time favorite show, so of course I'm gonna be more drawn to something as weird as that. So next is Captain Holt's office, and this room starts out being way too small, so I do have to go through and resize it, but this room is shown in almost every episode. But pretty much the entire back wall is a giant bookshelf, which is perfect for Captain Holt because him and his husband have a wonderful library at their house. So I feel like out of all the spaces that Holt could have had his office, this was meant to be for him. So on Holt's desk, he does have two fancy pens. On his desk, he does have two fancy pens in like this really fancy pen holder. And then he also has like a pencil cup with additional pens and pencils. In the show, he actually has a pride flag in that, but I didn't have a way to make the pride flag super, super tiny. But because it's such a big deal that Captain Holt is black and gay and still able to become a captain, I really wanted to find a way to get that pride flag on his desk somehow. So even though it's not in the cup where it's supposed to be in the TV show, I still shrunk it down and was able to put it on the front of his desk. On one side of his office, he has a few different flags as well as some news articles from when he became a captain. And then on the other side of his office, he has like a little sitting area and a little table with some books on it. There were some episodes that I found that there was actually a coffee maker in his office, but it wasn't the same in every single episode, so I just left it as a little table with some books on it. The next room is the copy room, and we get a really good shot of this room on the very first Halloween episode in season 1 when Jake is trying to put some pigeons in Captain Holt's office. Now, we don't have a copy machine in the game, so I just went ahead and used this media production table that came from Get Famous. And then the rest of this room is just kind of cluttered up with different filing cabinets and boxes and stacks of paper. And the boxes that came from Dream Home Decorator definitely came in handy a lot, not just for this room, but you'll notice I placed these pretty much everywhere throughout the build. Next, we are moving into the briefing room. And this one was a little confusing because in some episodes, the setup is the way that I have it here in the video. And then other episodes, it's like turned around, so the podium is on the other side of the room. So this is the room where anytime they're doing a briefing, all the detectives come in, and it's usually Terry who's speaking at the front of the room, telling them what's on their agenda. I believe the podium is actually base game, and then the tables that I used came from Dream Home Decorator. And then this big board that I place is actually a crime map that comes with Get to Work. So if you ever play the detective career track, this is in the precinct that your sim goes to work in. And as your sim gathers evidence and notes, this crime map fills up with different pictures and like strings of yarn. And then once you have enough evidence gathered, you can go out and find your suspect. So this next part, I had to get a little bit creative on. So we know that the bathrooms are down the hall past Rosa's desk, but they never really show the pathway to get to the bathroom. So I did have to go through and add a few extra items to the spaces in the hallway. But we do get to see the men's restroom in that same episode, The Slump, that I based Jake's desk off of. And I don't think that we ever get to see the women's restroom, but we do get to see Babylon, which is Gina and Rosa's secret bathroom. And I do put that in this build, so just keep watching a little longer and we'll get to that. We don't have urinals in the game, so I just placed some sinks here to kind of allude to what they're supposed to be. And then we do have bathroom stalls that came from Discover University. And then I just placed what I think the sink would look like, but I don't think that we ever see that in the show. And then moving over to the women's restroom, I kind of just went with the same thing as the men's restroom, minus the urinals, obviously. But I didn't have anything to base it off of, so I didn't really go into extreme detail on this one. Next is the interrogation room. And typically when this room is shown, it's just a table and 2 chairs in here. But as I was doing some research and as I was kind of looking through the episodes again, I also think that the lineup room is supposed to be in this same area. And the reason that I think that is because there is that mirror separating the 2 rooms, and the small room on the other side of the mirror looks exactly the same. And the entire time that I was putting this together, I could not stop thinking about Backstreet Boys.
Oh, chills. Literal chills.
Space that we're moving into is the roof. So there's not really a whole lot that I put out here. There are some roof pieces that I placed out here, and one of them came from Get Famous and the other one is actually from the base game. And then I placed some lawn chairs and a little patio table, and of course I could not forget to put the Gina statue. The next space is what's past that secret door in the break room. Now, I don't think that this is actually where it's at in the show, but it's where I could fit it for this build. So this is Babylon, which is the secret bathroom that Gina and Rosa go to. It apparently belonged to a former captain, and then it was forgotten about, so Gina and Rosa kind of took it over and made it their bathroom. So this bathroom has some crazy things like a zebra-striped rug, some lavender-scented candle, and some weird crystals, as Rosa said. And then Scully and Hitchcock do try to take naps in here, so I was gonna place a bed, but it didn't really fit in this space, so I just kind of left that part up to imagination. So on this side of the precinct, again, I don't think that this is actually where it's at in the show, but I placed a little supply closet, and then this is also where the evidence lockup is. This might actually be on a different floor, but the space was here, so I wanted to go ahead and use it. So more filing cabinets definitely came into play here, and then I also used some lockers, which I believe are actually base game. And then these shelves that I used actually came from Dine Out, but they kind of created this look like there's a lot of things that are stored here, so it worked well. And then behind that gated off area, I did place some more of those shelves, but there's also an episode where Terry is trying to build a dollhouse. And then the last room that I'm putting in is the records room, which is shown in the pilot episode because Jake got in trouble from Captain Holt. And I think that's the only time that it's ever shown, so there wasn't really a whole lot to go off of this. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more houses and buildings recreated from TV shows and movies in The Sims 4, make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so then you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone!